Have you ever fallen in love? Do you remember the first time you did? Were you head over heels in love, your heart aflutter? Or were you silent, still, in perfect peace, being swept up into the other and remaining secure there? Perhaps it was both. Perhaps it was both movement and rest. Perhaps this love was such a part of you, so inside yourself, that it couldn't but sweep you outside yourself, infinitely above. It was, you may say, insatiable. Now, I do not wish to say that falling in love is an intrinsic principle of movement and rest, no. But I think we can say that God becoming man is like this falling in love. You see, Christ humbled himself from the splendor of heaven into the dust and clay of earth, yet he remained where he was, in the Father's bosom, never leaving the light of his Father's heart. Christ is God and man, human and divine, having two natures, two wills, yet he does not dwell secure in this abstract realm of dogma, of theology. No. This means, rather, that God is no stranger to us. God is no stranger to the curious and often conflicting ways of the human heart. He is our man on the inside. On earth, Christ moves and rests. He walks about, he prays in silence. In today's gospel, he does both. He's moving away from Jericho when Bartimaeus stops him in his tracks, while Christ is walking away with his apostles. Bartimaeus was seated, but when Christ stands still, it's then that Bartimaeus springs up to him. There is a drama at work. You may call it a dialectic at play. Christ draws Bartimaeus into this pattern of movement and rest. Or if you are a fan of more active imagery when it comes to envisioning the Gospels, Christ turns the tables on Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus begins by asking for mercy. This is an experience all too common for one reason or another to us. If you are an Orthodox monk, you probably say Kyrie eleison 1,260 times a day, roughly. Yet, how the turntables? Christ asks Bartimaeus to specify his desire. What do you want me to do for you? Blind man, he can't look around, the poor man. He can't look at all the lovely created things that God has made. He's free of that distraction, however superficially I'm putting it. No, he can only look inside himself. And he must ask himself, what is it he really wants? To complicate matters, this brings up another dialectic. Bartimaeus knows Jesus is the son of David. He knows something, at least, of the prophecies of old. He knows, perhaps, that no man may see God and live. Yet, if he is to see at all, he will find himself looking straight into the face of God. Now, does he believe Christ to be God? Yet, we don't know. But having put it like this, his cry is all too familiar. You see, brothers, you and I, we are mysteries to ourselves. And by the fact of living each day, we enter a mystery not of our making, which far surpasses our imagining, our wildest dreams. And if we rummage through the recesses of our hearts, it might be that we fear what we find. And in these choppy seas, it's easy to long for and reach out for an anchor. In other words, we look for God. O Lord, I seek your face. It is your face, O Lord, that I seek. Think of Moses and think of Bartimaeus. Like Moses, Bartimaeus speaks with God face to face, as a man with his friend. Like Moses, he speaks to God in the darkness. Call this recklessness, this shouting, this saying in front of so many people, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Call it blind faith. The emotions that follow our experience of falling in love can sometimes drive us to do things we say in other circumstances is the product of blind faith. But when this roller coaster, when this emotional ecstasy of falling in love has dried up, what's left? What do we really want? Does blind faith still have any meaning? Has it ever? Blind faith is redundant. It is redundant because faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. When we say we act with blind faith in this way, what we mean is that we want to see. Lord, let me see again, he says. Let me see what all this is, what it all means, what it means to be a part of these lovely created things that you have made. Let me know you, O you who know me. Then I shall know, even as I am known. And here we can see that the play picks up again. Jesus calls Bartimaeus to himself, and he springs up. In that small step, Bartimaeus makes a leap of faith. St. Peter says, of those who have answered the call of faith, you did not see him, yet you love him. But why? How? How does this happen? How could it happen? It is not that we loved God, but that he loved us first. The love was there to begin with. The love was the light shining in the darkness. And it was God who said, let light shine out of darkness, who has shone in our hearts the light of the knowledge of the glory of God, Jesus Christ our Lord. You blared, brilliant, breaking through my blindness, says Augustine. And so, when the tables are turned on us, when the world has thrust its weight on our shoulders and we find ourselves in new circumstances and having to trust in them, when we encounter the unexpected situation of having the ball in our court, but around us we are beset with foes. And let us remember that God is within and he cannot be shaken. Bartimaeus, in his faith and frailty, is an earthen vessel, and so are we. Yet with treasure, this immortal diamond that has God in our hearts, we keep in earthen vessels, so that it is clear that the extraordinary power belongs to God and not to us. And when God decides to fire that earth, to test it in the kiln, to charge it with himself, to make it the vehicle of his presence, to shine across this foundering deck, know that he is calling you out of darkness into his own marvelous light. He moves us to delight in praising him, for he has made us for himself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in him. Take heart, rise, he is calling you.